All right, moving on. Let's get to a little Georgia. What do we got next?
And Georgia is now 3-0. The number one ranked Bulldogs, the defending national champions, come in and spank the Gamecocks handily, 48-7.
So for a long time in college football, at least the last decade, some years we would be asking the question right about now, end of September, that we would be asking, or middle of September, is it Alabama or the field in college football? Is it Bama or the field for the national championship? And so for the first time in well over a decade, it's not Bama that you put into that sentence. It's Georgia. Is it Georgia or the field? And judging by the way that they've played early this season, a conference game, a ranked matchup against Oregon, I'm taking Georgia. If you forced me to bet today, my own money, in a Georgia versus the field equation, I would bet on Georgia. They have looked that good. And rather than bore you with like some deep description about what they're doing and what they look like on the defensive side, are they deep? Yes. Are they talented? Yes. They've recruited ridiculously well. Are they better on offense? Yes. Are they more explosive? Yes. Do they have better players on the outside? Yes. Bowers looking at you. Is their quarterback playing better? Yes. All of it. All of it. But it's not just about that, because they were talented before. This team, by the way, probably isn't more talented than last year, but they have something that the other teams at Georgia haven't had, and that is confidence. Here's what it boils down to. Georgia is playing like a team that doesn't just think that they're really good, they know that they're really good. When did that happen? You can say, well, they won a national championship. Yeah. They won a national championship. It's not about the ring and it's not about the trophy. It's about who they beat. They could not beat Alabama, and they finally did it. Their confidence would have grown whether they beat Alabama in the regular season or as it was in the postseason in the national championship game. This is the exact same development that we saw a few years ago with Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers when they conquered Alabama, who is the preeminent program in college football, and then they played with immense confidence moving forward. They played with a totally different level of confidence and swagger from that point on. Remember, they won in Tuscaloosa. It was a pretty good game, but they pulled away late. And then from that point on, they were like a shooting star. You could not catch them, and they ended up throttling everybody that they played, including a Clemson team that was quarterbacked by Trevor Lawrence, who we thought was a generational talent. That's what we're seeing from Georgia. Folks, that game last year in the national championship was more than just a national championship game. It was a springboard into an era of confidence that they have not seen in Athens. They haven't seen it. They had lost 7 straight games to Alabama. In every one of those 7 games, that goes, by the way, all the way back to 2007. All right, the last time they had won was 2007. It was an overtime win. What was it, 26-23? They had lost 7 straight games against Alabama from that point until the national championship game. In every one of those 7 games, Georgia was a top 10 team. They knew they were really good. They knew it. But now they believe it. And that's a different sentiment. Growing up in the Denver area, this reminds me a lot of those late 90s Broncos teams. They had not won a Super Bowl with John Elway. They were the number 1 seed one year, got knocked out by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then they come back the next year. And what do? They kind of scratched through the regular season. They became the wild card team, and then they were a double-digit underdog against the Green Bay Packers, defending Super Bowl champions. And the AFC hadn't won a Super Bowl in, I believe, 12 years at that point. And they beat them. Terrell Davis goes off, Elway with the helicopter. They beat him. They got over the hump. Elway no longer had to ride with this 0-3 in the Super Bowl. And the next year, what did they do? They started the year 13-0. And then they won their second Super Bowl. Because the second year, not that they were a better team, they were a more confident team. Not that this Georgia team this year is a better team. They're just a more confident team. And that's a dangerous thing. That is a dangerous thing when you got some talent. In particular, I think you see it manifested the most in their quarterback, Stetson Bennett. He's playing with that confidence. So watch out, folks, because if it's Georgia or the field, I'm taking Georgia.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.